shoot. I'm disappointed in myself, frankly. It is goddamn 11:13 p.m. I don't know how long this is gonna take. This is chapter 9, man. The chapters keep getting longer and longer and longer each time. So I'm gonna try to read this fast. Chapter 10. Atticus was feeble. He was nearly 50. When Jim and I asked him why he was so old, he said he got started late, which we felt reflected upon his abilities and manliness. He was much older than the parents of our school contemporaries, yeah. And there was nothing Jim or I could say about him when our classmate said, "My father," cut off. Jim was football crazy. Atticus was never too tired to play keep away, but when Jim wanted to tackle him, Atticus would say, "I'm too old for that, son." Yeah, I wouldn't want to tackle my 50-year-old dad either. What the hell? Our father didn't do anything. He worked in an office, not in a drugstore. Atticus did not drive a dump truck for the county. He was not the sheriff. He did not farm, work in a garage, or do anything that could possibly arouse the admiration of anyone. He was a lawyer. That's pretty good. Besides that, he wore glasses. He was nearly blind in his left eye and said left eyes were the tribal curse of the Finches. I didn't know that. That's sad. Whenever he wanted to see something well, he turned his head and looked from his right eye. But I didn't know he was nearly blind in his left eye. Damn. He did not do the things our schoolmates' fathers did. He never went hunting. He did not play poker or fish or drink or smoke. He sat in the living room and read. With these attributes, however, he would not remain as inconspicuous as we wished him to. That year, the school buzzed with talk about him defending Tom Robinson, none of which was complimentary. After my bout with Cecil Jacobs, when I committed myself to a policy of cowardice, word got around that Scout Finch wouldn't fight anymore. Her daddy wouldn't let her. Space between any and more. This was not entirely correct. I wouldn't fight publicly for Atticus, but the family was private ground. I would fight anyone from a third cousin upwards, tooth and nail. Francis Hancock, for example, knew that. Yeah, because she busted his front teeth in. When he gave us our air rifles, Atticus wouldn't teach us to shoot. Uncle Jack instructed us in the rudiments thereof. He said Atticus wasn't interested in guns. Atticus said to Jim one day, "I'd rather you shoot at tin cans in the backyard, but I know you'll go after birds. Shoot all the blue jays you want, if you can hit 'em. But remember, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird." This is what it's all been leading up to. Gang, he just said it. This is what all my hard work and my sore throat and my tears and crappy grammar, this is all it's leading up to. I'll continue the next page. That was the only time I ever heard Atticus say it was a sin to do something. And I asked Miss Maudie about it. "Your father's right," she said. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens. They don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. Oh my God, she just said it. Just kidding. Miss Maudie. Oh, Miss Maudie, this is an old neighborhood, ain't it? Been here longer than the town. No, I mean the folks on our street are all old. Jim and me's the only children around here. Miss Du Bois is close on to 100, and Miss Rachel's old, and so are you and Atticus. I don't call 50 very old, said Miss Maudie tartly. Not being wheeled up around yet, am I? Neither's your father. But I must say, Providence was kind enough to burn down that old mausoleum of mine. I'm too old to keep it up. Maybe you're right, Jean Louise. This is a settled neighborhood. You've never been around young folks much, have you? Oh, yes, at school. I mean, young grown-ups. You're lucky, you know. You and Jim have the benefit of your father's age. If your father was 30, you'd find life quite different. I sure would. Atticus can't do anything. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, said Miss Maudie. There's life in him yet. What can he do? Well, he can make somebody's will so airtight can't anybody meddle with it. Shoot, ... Well, did you know he's the best checker player in this town? Why, down at the landing when we were coming up, Atticus Finch could beat everybody on both sides of the river. Whoa. I think that's the most scariest feature about Atticus. He'd bend me over and spank my booty like Krampus if he beat me at checkers. Good Lord, Miss Maudie. Jim and me beat him all the time. It's about time he found out it's because he lets you. Did you know he can play a Jew's harp? This modest accomplishment served to make me even more ashamed of him. Well, she said. Well, what, Miss Maudie? Well, what? A cut-off page. Well, nothing. Nothing. It seems with all that you'd be proud of him. Can't everybody play a Jew's harp? Now keep out of the way of the carpenters. You'd better go home. I'll be in my azaleas you can't watch. And can't watch you. Plank might hate you. Who the hell's Plank? Wait, like that dude from Ed, Edd and Eddy? What the flick? Why is he in the book? I went to the backyard and found Jim plugging away at a tin can, which seemed stupid with all the blue jays around. Oh, he's shooting the tin can. I returned to the front yard and busied myself for 2 hours erecting a complicated breastworks at the side of the porch, consisting of a tire, an orange crate, the laundry hamper, the porch chairs, and a small U.S. flag Jim gave me from a popcorn box. When Atticus came home to dinner, he found me crouched down, aiming across the street. What are you shooting at? Miss Maudie's rear end. Atticus turned and saw my generous target bending over her bushes. She pushed his hat to the back of his head and crossed the street. Maudie, he called, I thought I'd better warn you. You're in considerable peril. Miss Maudie straightened up and looked towards me. She said, Atticus, you are a devil from hell. No, he's not. Oh, he's an angel. I wish my father was the devil from hell. What? I sounded out Calpurnia on the subject. Mr. Finch? Why, he can do a lot of things. Like what? I asked. Calpurnia scratched her head. Well, I don't rightly know, she said. Jim underlined it when he asked Atticus if he was going out for the Methodist, and Atticus said he'd break his neck if he did. He was just too old for that sort of thing. See, this guy's like too humble. He knows when he's gotten in the age that he can't do anything or do much things, and he owns up to it. But still, he goes out there and he is just an alpha male, you know. The Methodists were trying to pay off their church mortgage and had challenged the Baptists to a game of touch football. I've never heard church people play football. Everybody in town's father was playing, it seemed, except Atticus. Jim said he didn't want to go, but he was unable to resist football in any form, and he stood gloomily on the sidelines with Atticus and me watching Cecil Jacobs' father make touchdowns for the Baptists. One Saturday, Jim and I decided to go exploring with our air rifles to see if we could find a rabbit or a squirrel. We had gone about 500 yards beyond the Radley place when I noticed Jim squinting at something down the street. He had turned his head to one side and was looking out of the corners of his eyes. "What you looking at?" "That old dog down yonder," he said. "That's old Tim Johnson, ain't it?" "Yeah." Tim Johnson was the property of Mr. Harry Johnson, who drove the mobile bus and lived on the southern edge of town. Tim was a liver-colored bird dog, the pet of Maycomb. Ew. "What's he doing?" "I don't know, Scout. We better go home." "Ah, Jim, it's February." "I don't care. I'm gonna tell Cal." We raced home and ran to the kitchen. "Cal," said Jim, "can you come down the sidewalk a minute?" "What for, Jim?" "I can't come down the sidewalk every time you want me." "There's something wrong with an old dog down yonder." Calpurnia sighed. "I can't wrap up any dog's foot now. There's some gauze in the bathroom. Go get it and do it yourself." Jim shook his head. "He's sick, Cal. Something's wrong with him." "What's he doing? Trying to catch his tail?" "No, he's just doing like this." Jim gulped like a goldfish, hunched his shoulders, and twitched his torso. "He's going like that, only not like he means to." "Are you telling me a story, Jim Finch?" Calpurnia's voice hardened. "No, Cal, I swear I'm not." "Was he running?" "No, he's just moseying along. So long you can't hardly tell it. He's coming this way." Calpurnia rinsed her hands and followed Jim into the yard. I don't see any dog," she said. She followed us beyond the Radley place and looked where Jim pointed. Tim Johnson was not much more than a speck in the distance, but he was closer to us. He walked erratically, as if his right legs were shorter than his left legs. He reminded me of a car stuck in a sandbed. "He's gone lopsided," said Jim. Calpurnia stared, then grabbed us by the shoulders and ran us home. She shut the wood door behind us, went to the telephone, and shouted, "Give me Mr. Finch's office!" "Mr. Finch!" she shouted. "This is Cal. I swear to God, there's a mad dog down the street. A piece He's coming this way. Oh, yes, sir. He's Mr. Finch. I declare he is. Old Tim Johnson. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Cut off. She hung up and shook her head when we tried to ask her what Atticus had said. She rattled the telephone hook and said, Miss Ula May, now, ma'am, I'm through talking to Mr. Finch. Please don't connect me no more. Listen, Miss Ula May, can you call Miss Rachel and Miss Stephanie Crawford and whoever's got a phone on the street and tell them that there's a mad dog coming? Please, ma'am. Calpurnia listened. I know it's February, Miss Ula May, but I know a mad dog when I see him. When I see one. Please, ma'am, hurry. Calpurnia asked Jim, Riley's got a phone? Jim looked in the book and said no. They won't come out anymore, Cal. I don't care. I'm going to tell him. She ran to the front porch, Jim and I at her heels. You stay in that house, she yelled. Calpurnia's message had been received by the neighborhood. Every wood door within our range of vision was closed tight. Is Maycomb really weak or something? Like, can one rabid dog kill everybody in the town? That's messed up. We saw no trace of Tim Johnson. We watched Calpurnia running toward the Radley place, holding her skirt and apron above her knees. She went up to the front steps and banged on the door. She got no answer, and she shouted, Mr. Nathan! Mr. Arthur! Mad Dog's coming! Mad Dog's coming! She's supposed to go around and back, I said. Jim shook his head. Don't make any difference now, he said. Calpurnia pounded on the door in vain. No one acknowledged her warning. No one seemed to have heard it. As Calpurnia sprinted to the back porch, a black Ford swung into the driveway. Whoa, that's cool. Atticus and Mr. Heck Tate got out. Mr. Heck Tate was the sheriff of Maycomb County. He was as tall as Atticus, but thinner. He was long-nosed, wore boots, with shiny metal eye-holes, boot pants, and a lumber jacket. His belt had a row of bullets sticking in it. He carried a heavy rifle. When he and Atticus reached the porch, Jim opened the door. Stay inside, son, said Atticus. Where is he, Cal? He ought to be here by now, said Calpurnia, pointing down the street. Not running, is he? Asked Mr. Tate. Nah, sir. He's in this twitching state, Mr. Heck. Should we go after him, Heck? Asked Atticus. We better wait, Mr. Finch. They usually go in a straight line, but you never can tell. He might follow the curve. Hope he does, or he'll go straight in the Radley backyard. Let's wait a minute. I don't think he'll get in the Radley yard, said Atticus. Fence will stop him. He'll probably follow the road. I thought mad dogs foamed at the mouth, galloped, leaped, and lunged at throats. And I thought they did in August. Yep. Had Tim Johnson behaved thus, I would have been less frightened. She would have been less frightened if he was foaming at the mouth and lunged at people's throats. I think that seems more scary. Or frightening. Nothing is more deadly than a deserted, waiting street. The trees were still. The mockingbirds were silent. The carpenters at Miss Maudie's house had vanished. I heard Mr. Tate sniff, then blow his nose. I saw him shift his gun to the crook of his arm. I saw Miss Stephanie Crawford's face framed in the glass window of her front door. Miss Maudie appeared and stood beside her. Atticus put his foot on the rung of a chair and rubbed his hand slowly down the side of his thigh. There he is, he said softly. Tim Johnson came into sight, walking dazedly in the inner rim of the curve parallel to the Radley house. Look at him, whispered Jim. Mr. Heck said they walked in a straight line. He can't even stay in the road. He looks more sick than anything, I said. Let anything get in front of him, and he'll come straight at it. Mr. Tate put his hands to his forehead and leaned forward. He's got it all right, Mr. Finch. Tim Johnson was advancing at a snail's pace, but he was not playing or sniffing at foliage. He seemed dedicated to one course and motivated by an invisible force that was inching him towards us. We could see him shiver like a horse shedding flies. His jaw opened and shut, but a last? No, let's not say last. I think that's just a list. But a list, he was being pulled gradually toward us. He's looking for a place to die, said Jim. Mr. Tate turned around. He's not far from dead, Jim. He hasn't got started yet. Tim Johnson reached the side street that ran in front of the Radley place, and what remained of his poor mind made him pause and seem to consider which road he would take. He made a few hesitant steps and stopped in front of the Radley gate. Then he tried to turn around, but was having difficulty. Atticus said, He's within range, Heck. You better get him before he goes down the street. Or down the side street. Lord knows who's around the corner. Go inside, Cal. Calpurnia opened the screen door, latched it behind her, then unlatched it, and held onto the hook. She tried to block Jim and me with her body, but we looked out from beneath her arms. Take him, Mr. Finch. Mr. Tate handed the rifle to Atticus. Jim and I nearly fainted. So, Mr. Heck Tate is a dumbass. Yeah, that's like a police officer nowadays handing their goddamn service rifle to a civilian and saying, hey, go take care of that criminal over yonder. Oh, because I'm too busy doing something else. I just want to see your skills, man. I heard you're pretty good at the art of arsenals. Man, just this guy's a sheriff too. Don't waste time, Heck, said Atticus. Go on. Mr. Finch, this is a one-shot job. Atticus shook his head vehemently. Don't just stand there, Heck. He won't wait all day for you cut off. For God's sake, Mr. Finch, look where he is. Miss, and you'll go straight into the Radley house. I can't shoot that well, and you know it. I haven't shot a gun in 30 years, cut off. Mr. Tate almost threw the rifle at Atticus. I feel mighty comfortable if you did now, he said. In a fog, Jim and I watched our father take the gun and walk into the middle of the street. He walked quickly, but I thought he moved like an underwater swimmer. Time had slowed to a nauseating crawl. When Atticus raised his glasses, Calpurnia muttered, Sweet Jesus, help him, and put her hands to her cheeks. Atticus pushed his glasses to his forehead. They slipped down, and he dropped them in the street. In the silence, I heard them crack. Atticus rubbed his eyes and chin. We saw him blink hard. When I first read this, I thought this was how Atticus was gonna die. Like, he went to shoot the dog, dropped his glasses, couldn't see, and then the dog flipping like ate him. But you know, I don't think Atticus ever dies in the book. Maybe of old age, but like, not like in like a tragic. Oh my God, I have to sacrifice myself to save my children. You know. In the front of the Radley gate, Tim Johnson had made up what was left of his mind. He had finally turned himself around to pursue his original course up our street. He made 2 steps forward, then stopped and raised his head. We saw his body go rigid, I think, with movements so swift they seemed simultaneous. Atticus's hand yanked a ball-tipped lever as he brought the gun to his shoulder. The rifle cracked. Tim Johnson leaped, flopped over, and crumpled on the sidewalk in a brown and white heap. Ew, he didn't know what hit him. Mr. Tate jumped off the porch and ran to the Radley place. He stopped in front of the dog, squatted, turned around, and tapped his finger on his forehead, above his left eye. "You were a little to the right, Mr. Finch," he called. "Always was," answered Atticus. "If I had my druthers, I'd take a shotgun." He stopped and picked up his glasses around the broken lenses to powder under his heel. Ground the broken lenses to powder under his heel. And it went to Mr. Tate and stood looking down at Tim Johnson. Doors opened one by one, and the neighborhood slowly came alive. Miss Maudie walked down the steps with Miss Stephanie Crawford. Jim was paralyzed. I pinched him to get moving, but when Atticus saw us coming, he called, "Stay where you are." When Mr. Tate and Atticus returned to the yard, Mr. Tate was smiling. "I'll have Zebo collect them," he said. "You haven't forgot much, Mr. Finch. They say it never leaves you." Atticus was silent. "Atticus," said Jim. "Yes?" "Nothing." "Oh, I saw that one-shot, Finch!" Atticus wheeled around and faced Miss Maudie. They looked at one another without saying anything, and Atticus got into the sheriff's car. I'm guessing Miss Maudie said that. I really don't know what this book. "Come here," he said to Jim. "Don't you go near that dog, you understand? Don't go near him. He's just as dangerous dead as alive." "Yes, sir," said Jim. "Atticus." "What, son?" "Nothing." "What's the matter with you, boy? Why can't you talk?" said Mr. Tate, grinning at Jim. "Didn't know your daddy's cut off." "Hush, heck," said Atticus. "Let's go back to town." Oh. What are Heck and Atticus doing? They're just driving around. What the hell what could they possibly be doing? You know, just two people going out, just just solving random crime. You know. When they drove away, Jim and I went to Miss Stephanie's front steps. We sat waiting for Zebo to arrive in the garbage truck. Jim sat in numb confusion, and Miss Stephanie said, Who would have thought a mad dog in February? Maybe he wasn't mad. Maybe he was just crazy. I'd hate to see Harry Johnson's face when he gets in from the Mobile Run and finds Atticus Finch's shot his dog. Bet he was just full of fleas from somewhere cut off. Miss Maudie said Miss Stephanie'd be singing a different tune if Tim Johnson was still coming up the street. That they'd find out soon enough. They'd send his head to Montgomery. Jim became vaguely articulate. Did you see him, Scout? Did you see him? He just standing there, and all of a sudden, he just relaxed all over, and it looked like that gun was a part of him, and he did it so quick, and I have to aim for 10 minutes before I can shoot something, or hit something. Miss Maudie grinned wickedly. Well now, Miss Jane Louise, she said, still think your father can't do anything? Still ashamed of him? No, I said meekly. Forgot to tell you the other day that besides playing the Jew's harp, Atticus Finch was the deadest shot in Macomb County in this time. Dead shot, echoed Jim. Goddamn Deadeye from Red Dead. That's what I said, Jim Finch. Guess you'll change your tune now. The very idea. Didn't you know his nickname was Old One Shot when he was a boy? Why, down at the landing when he was coming up, if he shot 15 times and hit 14 does, he'd complain about wasting ammunition. He never said anything about that, Jim muttered. Never said anything about it, did he? No, ma'am. Wonder why he never goes on now, I said. Maybe I can tell you, said Miss Maudie. If your father's anything, he's civilized in his heart. Marksmanship's a gift from God, of God. A talent. Oh, you have to practice to make it perfect. But shooting's different from playing the piano or the like. I think maybe he put his gun down when he realized that God had given him an unfair advantage over most living things. I guess he decided he wouldn't shoot until he had to. And he had to today. Looks like he'd be proud of it, I said. People in their right minds never take pride in their talents, said Miss Maudie. We saw Zebo drive up. He took a pitchfork from the back of the garbage truck and gingerly lifted Tim Johnson. He pitched the dog onto the truck, then got off. Poured something from a gallon jug on and around the spot where Tim fell. Don't y'all come over here for a while, he called. When we went home, I told Jim we'd really have something to talk about at school on Monday. Jim turned to me. Don't say anything about it, Scout, he said. What? I certainly am. Ain't everybody's daddy the deadest shot in Macomb County? Jim said. I reckon if he'd wanted us to know it, he'd have told us. If he was proud of it, he'd have told us. Maybe it just slipped his mind, I said. Naw, Scout, it's something you wouldn't understand. Atticus is real old, but I wouldn't care if he couldn't do anything. I wouldn't care if he couldn't do a blessed thing. Jim picked up a rock and threw it jubilantly at the car house, running after it. He called back, Atticus is a gentleman, just like me. End chapter. Chapter 10, finally getting into the double digits. I'm very happy about that. This is just to show Atticus is just a goddamn beast. Kind of like filler chapters here, but this is to show that Atticus is past, what he's doing, what he was doing. And you know how Atticus destroys Tim Johnson with facts and logic. Very cool. And this is a setup for Jim's personality arc, gentleman arc, where he goes goddamn insane. You'll see it. 0-12. Wait, we're nearly to the second part, aren't we? Yeah, because chapter 12 is part 2. Hell yeah, man. Alright. See you on the flip side.